welcome to my workshop. In this short video series, I would like to show you a couple of basic tools you're gonna encounter as a beginner shoemaker. Many of these tools are on your desk and you use it every day, some of them just rarely, but all of them are pretty important if you want to accomplish a nice pair of shoes. In this short movie, we are discussing the knife we use in our shoemaking work. So we're gonna talk about two different red handle clicking knives. There's a curved blade shoemaking knife, the straight version of it, and there is this Japanese style push skiving knife, which is actually a very versatile tool. Let's start talking about the clicking knives. So this one here has a screw what you can operate just by hand. You can remove the old dull blade and take the brand new sharp one, slide it in just like that, make it tight, and you are ready to use this one. This knife needs a small screwdriver, but the technique is pretty much the same. So when you start using this knife, you pretty much hold it like a pencil, and it's very natural. If the blade is sharp, it's very easy to cut with it. This is a piece of oak tack paper. This is what we use for pattern making, and let me show you how to cut a nice intricate curve here. And just like this. Now let's try it on leather. So this is an upper leather, roughly 1.2 millimeters thick. This is lining, a little bit thinner. When you are using a sharp blade like this, the right technique is really important. So let's say if you prefer to use a knife this way, holding like that, this might not be the best blade for you. In that case, we have another product, this kind of clicking knife, and this comes with this really sharp surgical blade, slightly curved. So if you prefer to keep your wrist straight and you want to cut this way, it goes right against your palm, and very natural position, very easy to cut with it. You can make cuts with this knife. This knife is actually pretty good if you have factory patterns and you make straight lines. For very intricate curves, this wouldn't be my first choice. Now we are going to talk about the shoemaking knives. Based on your preferences, you can choose from different designs. Some shoemakers like to use these Japanese style of craft knives. Some others use a straight knife, and I actually prefer to use a curved blade. These knives have different ways you can use them. I'm going to show you with the curved blade. So this is a piece of pretty thick wedge tan scrap leather, and the way we use this knife, actually, it seems dangerous, but I will show you why it's not dangerous. You hold it in your hand like this, but your thumb is not in the way. So you always put the thumb away from the way of the knife, and your hand will stop the knife. So this is the control you can use, and you never ever put the thumb here, because this is not as strong as any thin soft leather. So when you start to cut a piece off from this leather, the actual way of the knife is off the thumb. So here's what you can do. This knife actually is really good quality. It comes as sharp as this is. I just took it out from the box. And as you can see, there's a nice clean cut, really easy to perform even if it's on 8-9 ounces leather. The other thing what you can do with the curved or even the straight blades is skiving. So I'm going to use the same exact leather, put it down here, and the curved blade has a really great advantage. You can hold it just like this. Because of this little curve, you have a good clearance to hold the blade here, and with your thumb you can push this down. With the rest of the fingers you can give a good control to get the right angle here. So what you need to pay attention when you skive, there are plenty techniques to perform a skiving, but something is super important: to cut with the blade and don't try to shave with the blade. That actually takes the edge off really fast. So let's say I want to have a nice edge in this part of the leather. So I'm going to give a right angle in there, pull the knife all the way, and as you can see, I made a roughly 9 to 10 millimeters cut here, all the way down to 0 thickness. So this is actually pretty good for heel counters, toe puff, or overlap seams, whichever you prefer. This is a very versatile blade. You can skive sole leather, insole leather, stiffeners, or even upper leather pieces. So as a shoemaker, I was trained to use a curved blade, and that was more than 30 years ago. But recently, in the last 10 years, I discovered these kind of knives, and actually these are my personal favorites so far. Let me show you how to use skiving. This is actually a very good blade for many other works, but skiving is a very great one. So first of all, you hold the leather right here and you push the knife away from you, so it's a lot safer than any other blades. And if you find the right angle, this skiving is actually very simple and easy. This knife is also very handy if you want to cut a nice straight line. It gives you a great comfort since you can hold it just like this. It's a very comfortable position. Your wrist is perfectly straight. And if you want to cut a straight line in here, you don't have to push it too hard actually. The blade is almost flush to the leather, so you have a great control. And just like that, without any pattern piece or guide, you can cut an almost straight, beautiful piece just like this. So in order to keep them sharp, my personal preference is the ceramic stone. There are two designs from these. The large one looks just like this. You can put some kind of protection here and use it just like that, and actually you can use both part of it. And there is the smaller design, which is actually work pretty much the same way than the bigger one, except this has a nice shiny handle, and this actually is pretty good for smaller blades, or even actually these kind of blades. So it doesn't matter if your knife is curved or straight, it's gonna work the same exact way. Now these are new merchandise, so I'm going to use my old sharpening stone and my old knife to show you how this is done. So after a few years of work, it's gonna have a little bit of a discoloration there. It really doesn't change anything, so you can use the same exact way. And this sharpening stone is probably over 10 years old. So you hold it in one hand. I'm gonna use my old knife for this job, and you use on both sides against your hand. So it seems dangerous, but you have to learn it the right way. So this is what you're gonna do. One side, almost like slicing a little bit of a piece off from it, and the other side doing the same thing. You can find the angle very, very steep. So the steeper the angle between the knife and the stone is, the better. You've probably seen I'm doing this in my videos plenty times to keep my tools sharp. A little bit of sharpening just like this, does miracles with the blade.